guys, I'm Chris Murray and this is the Phenomenal Podcast. This is the long-awaited episode 3. This is all about how to get back up after you've been knocked down. So first of all, apologies. It's been over 12 months since I last did a podcast episode. Totally got out the idea of doing it. Wasn't too sure on how it would work during the rest of the pandemic, etc. I had a lot going on with football. But now back to cracking out a few episodes for you. We'll get them all sorted and uploaded to the usual channels for you to view and enjoy. So this is episode 3, and it's talking about how to get back up after you've been knocked down. Now, I look at it this way, okay? We've been knocked down for the last 18 months, all right? Now, I'm not going to get into the argument of whether COVID's real, whether it's not, whether the vaccine works or vaccine doesn't. Not getting into it. Not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is that over the last 18 months, we have suffered because of something that's been going on in the world, all right? And we need to look at it as being, now we've come back out the other side, there's restrictions have been lifted, and the world is starting to get back to a semblance of normality. Anybody who knows me will understand that I'll always look at both sides of the argument. Okay, did that as chairman of Bury AFC, listened to both sides of the argument with everything that was going on with that, and I try and make a bit of rational sense out of everything. But that's my bit of spiel about obviously COVID and whose opinion matters and who's right and who's wrong, etc. The world would be very different if we all had the same opinion. It'd be boring, it'd be mundane, nobody will be allowed to speak for themselves. Well, let's crack on. So the reason why I'm doing this episode today, obviously, is, like I say, we've had a shit 18 months. People have been locked down, they've been furloughed, businesses have gone out, have been shut and gone out of business. We've all had to adjust to a different way of life. Okay, and as business owners, that's obviously going to affect us because it's one of those things where we don't know what's going on. We didn't know whether our clients would come out the other side, etc., whether customers would still buy from us. Didn't know if we'd be able to get stock in, everything under the sun, okay? And it's been horrendous. Let's not beat around the bush with it. It's been horrendous, okay? But now, as a business owner, I look at it this way. We've got through that 18 months. We're still here, or in some cases, we've started on a new business venture and we're just starting on that journey, because there will be some people that listen to this who just decided to start their own business, and we crack on and we go again. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can get knocked down, and it's really frustrating and annoying, and I feel like this a lot. I felt for a lot of time throughout the first lockdown as if it was a constant battle. You have all these emotions that are going through your head. You're worried, you're anxious, you're feeling stressed, you're upset, you're not motivated, you don't know what to do. And it's something that has made a lot of people reevaluate what they do and how they want to move themselves forward, okay? And I tried throughout the first lockdown to try and be as helpful as possible to all my clients. Some of them I didn't charge anything for a few months, which obviously was detriment to me, meant that I as a business owner was having to go without so that I could help keep them going and still provide the same level of service. Some clients, said that they didn't want to carry on because they were unsure of what was going to happen. That was fine. Left the door open to them, no problem. And then I brought new clients on as well, people that were proactively moving themselves forward as business owners, and that was good. So what seemed like was going to knock me down turned around a little bit into me being able to still continue to work and still continue to provide the service that I do. Now, there's many ways in which you can feel like you're being knocked down, whether that's at home with people that you live with, with your friends, with clients, with other people that you work with. There's many different ways that people can knock you down, and it's always about how you try and get yourself back up after it, And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm somebody with this positive mental attitude every day of the week. That would be an outright lie, and I'm not going to lie to you. What I am going to tell you is that you do need to try and have a positive mindset when it comes to being knocked down and how quickly you get back up. Okay, so hypothetical, you've got a client that is looking to move away from using you. Okay, you're a business owner, you've had them since pretty much day one, and they're looking to move away. What's the reason why they're looking to move away? Is it something you've done personally, or is it just where their business is at the moment? Okay, sure, it's going to be frustrating, the fact that you've now got to go out and source a new client to replace the income that you've lost, but that's normal business. And as much as that's a hypothetical, it happens to everybody. I mean, to give you an example, I had a client recently who I did all their social media content for their business on their platforms, designed bespoke graphics, etc., posted for them daily, gave them advice when it comes to what sort of pictures they should be taking, what works best, etc. And then they cancelled. And the reason why they cancelled was because they were too busy. They were too busy to fill the quota of jobs that they had off the back of social media. So, okay, I've lost that revenue. That's fine. That's not an issue. The positive out of that is I know that as a business owner, I've done my job. As a social media marketing agency, I've done my job. I've made them busy. I've made them to the point where they have professional content with bespoke branded graphics, and I have made them busier, and they are not able to fulfill their quota of work because they're too busy based off the work that I've done. That's fine. They are at that point where they want to grow their brand, but they know they've got to scale back some of the things that they do whilst they get the other important elements in place and put them in first, and then go again. There was no bad words, there was no arguing, there was nothing that was wrong with it. It was just a case of, okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. It'll be a pleasure working with you again in the future when the time is right. And the time will be right for them at some point. But of course, it is always going to feel in here that it's a knockdown. That you've been knocked down because you've lost a client and you've got to replace that income. Use the positive out of it. Use the positive out of that knockdown to get your next client. Don't dwell on it. Don't sit there and think, oh shit, I've lost a client. Oh, how am I going to be able to afford to cover this next month? Look at it and go, right, okay. So I can use that example of what I've done and the work that I've put in for that client as being a case referral for when I'm speaking to my next client. There's positives to take out of everything, and you need to look at the knockdowns, look at why you've been knocked down, and instead of focusing on the negative side of it, look at it and go, all right, okay, fair enough. So yeah, that's not quite gone the way we wanted to. Yeah, it's frustrating the fact that I'm missing out on that revenue, but how can I use that to my advantage? How can I tell the next 4, 5, 6, 7 business owners or 7 customers or potential customers that I get in front of about the amazing work I've done for this business and how I've helped them grow and how I can do that in the same situation for them? And about taking those positives out of it and moving it forward, you're gonna have those moments where you feel like, what is the point and what is going on and why am I bothering with it? I get that every day. Okay, I wake up every morning and I like my sleep when I go to sleep. Okay, I snore my head off. I enjoy my bed, but I get up every morning and I remind myself that I've got 2 little boys that depend on me. Okay, obviously they depend on their mum as well, but they depend on me. I need to make sure that everything that I'm doing for them, and I'm making sure that I'm trying to build a future for them. And I remind myself every morning that regardless of what I'm going through and how I feel and how bad I might feel about losing a client or having a client that might be annoying, or the Wi-Fi might not have been working in the office the day before me and I've got no work done, that everything I'm doing, I am doing for those two little boys, and I am making sure that I'm putting all the effort in because of they're my reason for working. Okay, yeah, sure, fine, yeah, I want to be able to afford nice things. I want to be able to drive a nice car. I want to be able to one day hire more people. I want to be a, a boss of people. I want to build an environment and a community that people can come to work to and say, you know what, that Chris is a phenomenal boss, right? But it doesn't happen straight away. You've got to build it, and you've got to work on it, and you've got to remind yourself every day the reason as to why you are doing what you're doing. And the reason why you are doing this will always outweigh every knockdown that you get on your business journey. Okay? There will always be a reason that outshines that knockdown, right? Prime example for you, okay? Long-standing client of mine today rings me up and says, right, okay, I'm no longer continuing my contract with you. Okay, right, brilliant. Not a problem. I'm looking at it and thinking, all right, this client's been with me 18 months. We've built up a really good relationship. We get on. It's no issue whatsoever. We know what our limitations are, what we expect of each other, and we've looked at it and gone, right, okay, fair enough. It's time for us to end that agreement that we have. Doesn't mean that I'm going to turn around and call him a dick and say that, oh, you'll never work for me again. Absolutely not. It's just not the right time for that business. That business wants to go in a particular direction, and if you've left an impression on them, or you've done something that they appreciate, or you've done the job well, even though they're not in that position at this moment in time, there's every chance they'll come back to you. There's every chance that they will understand that they need to come back to you, and they need you and your services and what you offer, but at this moment in time, it's not right for them. Sure, now I've got to go out and find another client to supplement the income that they were providing. But as I've said earlier, that's all business. That's how business works. That's what you do. You get into this to try and grow a business, and sure, along the way there'll be hiccups. There will be no businessman out there, there'll be no entrepreneur that has never lost a client. And if you feel like that's the case, then somebody's lying to you, okay? So my way of looking at it, when it comes to, negative side of things and the knockdowns that you get, is don't look at the negative of the knockdown. Look at the positive side of it. Look at what you did well. Look at the reason why you do this every day. Look at what you've done. Look at how you could have improved things, and use it as fuel to move yourself forward, okay? Use it as a way to try and grow your brand further. Use it as a way to keep yourself out of a slump, right? Because the one thing you don't need as a business owner is you do not need to be in a slump. You do not need to be thinking and having it preying on your mind that a client has stopped using you, or that somebody said to you, oh, you charge too much, or somebody said that, you don't have enough experience, right? Screw that. The way that you as a business owner need to look at it is okay, so you think I'm charging too much. Well, I will be charging too much compared to those people who create £1 logos, right? And we'll discuss that at another point about knowing your worth and devaluing your services. But what I'm charging is different to what somebody else charges, but there's a reason why I charge that. Somebody tells you that they're looking to move their business into another direction, that's fine, because I'm looking to move my business into another direction as well. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to fall out or anything like that. It means that we shake hands, we say our goodbyes, sometimes virtually, sometimes over the phone, and we go again, So look at it and look at the positives out of it, rather than looking at it and being down in the dumps and thinking, right, I don't know whether I want to do this anymore, because it isn't easy. Nothing in life is handed to you for free. Okay, you've got to work every day at it. You've got to make sure that you are doing everything you can to keep yourself out of a negative mindset and into a positive one. Sure, there's going to be those days where you think, all right, well, can't be arsed doing this anymore. You know, I might just go get a job. I've had those days. I've really had those days. I've looked at it and thought, is this really worth it? But then you remind yourself that you got into this because you're good at what you do. You have a service that you want to provide to people. You want to see people happy, you know, not just yourself. You want to see others benefiting from what you do. And you remind yourself of the positives. And that the only takeaway I would ever take from being knocked down is get back up, dust yourself off, look at the positives, and go again. Okay? Now, I haven't watched films for ages, but one of my favourite films or trilogy is the Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale, etc. And there is a line that Alfred says in Batman Begins, where it says, "Why do we fall, Bruce? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up again." Okay? That is exactly the reason why we get knocked down. We get knocked down so that we can pick ourselves back up and so that we can go again. All right? It's like if you're watching somebody play football. If they get tackled and lose the ball, they get down, they're knocked down, they get back up and go and chase it back. Unless, obviously, they're rolling around on the floor like you see a lot of them do every now and then. But the same principle still applies. They've been knocked down, they've got back up, they've moved into that next transition of play, trying to get the ball back and then get the team back on the attack. Just the way to look at it. You've been knocked down, get yourself back up, dust yourself off, be positive about it, and move yourself forward. Okay? So that's pretty much everything today, really. This is episode 3 of the Phenomenal Podcast. I've been your host, Chris Murray. Obviously, thank you for taking the time to listen, and please feel free to obviously share it with your friends and family and any other business owners that you know. Hope you have a phenomenal day, guys. Bye.